تست. اوكي غيره. تست 1 2 3 تست 1 تست 2 تست 3. اوكي تمام. بعد مور تست دوختني حولتني بعد اوكي ها تست اوكي شو ماكو شو لحظة ماكو صوت على اللايف. تست 1 2 3 4 تست اوكي تست 1 2 3 4 تست. هيدا لا ايه هيدا فينا نوطيه. بتعرف توطيه هيدا يا حبيبنا؟ سرمد وطيلي هيدا، وطيلي هيدا.
هذا اقصى شيء.
لا بينزل بعد هون.
يعلى ما ينزل. يعلى ما ينزل.
هيدا بدنا نوطيه.
حكي يا عيش. خليه يشوف منين رح
لكن شيله حطه هيك. حطه على جنب. حطه بدون ستاند، شيله حطه بدون ستاند.
خلي على جنب، خلي على جنب. هاي.
حطه هيك. اوكي.
شانل 3 الترجمة. السلام عليكم جميعا. شانل 3 الترجمة بس يكون ياكل ترجمة، يلا رح تسمعوا الترجمة بس بالعربي. اوكي. تيست عربي. تيست مايك. تيست عربي، صوت واضح؟
يلا خليه يخلص.
تيست مايك اوكي. لا كوثر تسمعني؟ تيست مايك.
خلص؟
اوكي.
يلا.
كوثر.
لحظة في سؤال.
كوثر. تيست مايك تيست اوكي. الو.
والله انا عندي باللايف اليوم.
تيست 1 2 3 تيست. يا المايك مالتك وسام انت. تيست 1 2 3. تيست 1 2. احمد خاف من وسام انت. تيست 1 2 3. تيست 1 2 3. تيست 1 2 3 4 تيست. 1 2 3 4 تيست. 1 2 3 4 تيست. 1 2 3 4 5 تيست. وسام اسعد تسمعني؟ وسام فليح. تشيك الصوت عندي. تشيك الصوت. انا هذا المايك مالتي. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. تيست 1 2 3 4 5. تيست 1 2 3. تيست 1 2 3 عندك زين وسام؟ تيست 1 2 3 4. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. تيست. ها؟ تيست 1 2 3 وسام وراك. تيست 1 2 وسام وراك. تيست 1 2 3. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. 1 2 3 تيست. مخلي انت غير؟ تيست 1 2 3. هذا؟ هنا صار وسام حلشت. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. يمكن مال الجماعة يو ان. تيست 1 2 3. اعلى علي. انت وين مالتك المايك؟ 1 2 3 تيست. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. يمكن الرئيسي هذا للمكسر اللي هناك. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. هم جماعة المكسر جابوه بالبداية. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. تيست مايك 1 2 3 تيست. وسام تمام؟ وسام اسعد. وسام زياد. تيست 1 2 3 زين. تيست 1. اي خابرت احمد زياد؟ لا. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. وسام فليح. وسام راح اقوم. وسام. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. تيست 1 2 3. تيست 1 2 3 4 تيست. يا هو المايك مالتك. يا هو المايك مالتك بيهم. يا هو بيهم هذا. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. 1 2 3 اخر تيست هذا. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. تيست. تيست 1 2 3. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. تيست 1 2 3 تيست. تيست 1 2 3.
الو 1 2 3. الو مصطفى جيب المايك مالتك. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 لا ثاني. ما تسمعني. واحد اثنين. الو. تسمعني؟ قاعد تقول الو. الو. واحد اثنين ثلاثة. واحد اثنين ثلاثة. الو 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 الو. واحد اثنين ثلاثة. الو 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 الو. ايوه واحد اثنين ثلاثة.
هذا بول هذا مال بول يحط العالم كله.
الو واحد اثنين ثلاثة. الو واحد اثنين ثلاثة. الو. اوكي اوكي احمد سيارة اوكي صوت. الو الو الو. هذا مو مال الو 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 الو. راح يجيبون ستاندات، راح يجيبون. هذا مال المترجم مال الثاني. وين الثاني مايك الثاني؟
تشيك مايك تشيك مايك تشيك مايك. الو ماكو. تشيك مايك تشيك مايك. تشيك صوت. تيست 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 مايك تيست مايك.
لو تسمعني أستاذ؟
تسمعني؟ تشيك مايك.
تسمع؟ واحد اثنين ثلاثة تشيك. أوكي؟
شلون؟
ألو تسمعني؟ واحد اثنين ثلاثة تشيك 1 2.
ما تسمعني؟
ألو ألو. ما بصوت شنو؟
تشيك مايك تشيك مايك تشيك مايك تشيك مايك تشيك مايك تشيك مايك. الو واحد اثنين ثلاثة.
هو عنده تشيك مايك.
بس جوعان؟
يلا
الو تشيك 1 2. الو تشيك 1 2.
هذا شنو؟ هذا الفايل هنا
اللي هون مشان يكون في مجال اذا بدك يفتح صفحه شيء.
جيد. هذا من يكون هذا جهاز ترجمة.
ايه فينا نرجع هيدا شوي. هذا الميكروفون منيح هيك ما بعود. لا مشان يقدر يقرا اذا
بس اوكي هاي المسافة كل زينة.
هيك ابعد ما بيسوى هيك.
والصوت راح يضعف.
اوكي
بس اوكي يعني براحته.
خليه واطي كرمال وجهه، خليه واطي، خليه هيك أحسن.
الو الو اوكي.
طفوهم لتروح بالطريق.
تمشي هاي البطارية 6 ساعات. اوكي طفيها. راح يكون
هذا لك الأغنية.
لا هو انا بدي ارفعها.
إلي
تريدها هي فارغة.
بمشي فيها وبشرب بس أكيد مش لك.
لا ممكن هي هنا بدي ارفعها.
اشتغل يمكن المكسر اشتغل.
ASMG يجيك صوت يجيك صوت بالعراقية هذا 1 2 3 يجيك صوت هذا تشيك 1 2 يجيك هذا الو 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 تشيك 1 2 الو 1 2 تشيك 1 2 الو اسمعني الو 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 تشيك 1 2 الو الو تشيك 1 2 هسه المصحفين هذا يجيك صوت الو 1 2 تشيك 1 2
شباب ستاند باي 5 دقائق. شباب 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 5 دقائق بيكونوا موجودين، بيدخل فورا.
جاهز.
ايه يلا. هلو هلو هلو. هذا ما عم بيطلع صوته. هلو 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 هلو. هلو هلو هلو.
please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. Nice to see you all. The Secretary General will say a few words, and then he will take a few questions. Secretary General.
Ladies and gentlemen, anything? It's okay? Ladies and gentlemen of the media, Assalamu alaikum. When I visited Iraq 6 years ago, the war against Daesh was still raging. Wide swaths of the country lay in ruins. Millions were forced to flee their homes. My visit was one of solidarity in a moment of urgency. Today is a visit of solidarity and hope for the future of Iraq. With the new government in place, there is a window of opportunity for progress. Earlier today, I had fruitful meetings with the President, Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, and Speaker of the Council of Representatives, as well as representatives of civil society. I expressed my gratitude for Iraq's solidarity and support to the victims of the devastating earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. And I welcomed Iraq's efforts to advance regional stability through diplomacy and dialogue. Today's challenges do not recognize borders. Addressing them requires regional cooperation and coordination. We also discussed the new government's ambitious and forward-looking reform agenda. I expressed our steadfast commitment to support action that benefits all Iraqis through the United Nations Assistance Mission for Iraq and the entire UN family operating across the country. Action to bolster democratic institutions and governance at all levels to build trust. Action to improve public services and tackle corruption. Action to strengthen human rights protections and ensure accountability. Action to halt armed actors operating outside state control. Action to diversify the economy and reduce reliance on oil revenue. Action to bring down high levels of unemployment and create opportunities for decent work for young people. And action to build resilience against climate shocks and water scarcity that threaten lives and livelihoods in the heart of the Fertile Crescent where agriculture flourished for millennia. In all of these and more, national unity and the interests of the Iraqi people are paramount. And so too is the role of all of Iraq's elected representatives. I was particularly encouraged by the increased participation of women as candidates in recent elections, reflected in the historic number of women elected to the Council of Representatives. We all look forward to seeing more women across all spheres of decision-making. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, I commend the government of Iraq for its efforts to repatriate its citizens from northeast Syria, in particular from the Al-Hol camp, where so many Iraqis, Syrians and third country nationals, mainly women and children, remain stranded in desperate conditions. Iraq's efforts are an example for the world. We must keep working for dignified solutions anchored in the principles of reintegration and accountability. Continued engagement on the repatriation and sustainable reintegration of Iraqi nationals from the Al-Hol camps remains essential. And from here, in Iraq, I want to send a message to all other member states with nationals in such camps. It is time for them to significantly step up their efforts to facilitate the safe and dignified repatriation of their nationals in line with applicable international law and guided by the best interests of children. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, I will also visit Erbil and look forward to meeting the Kurdistan regional authorities. I encourage the federal and Kurdistan regional governments to continue moving towards a structured, institutionalized dialogue and concrete agreements, in particular on the pressing issue of the 2023 federal budget, as well on the oil and gas law. Moving from constant crisis management to a more robust, sustainable arrangement is the surest path to peace and prosperity for all Iraqis. I reiterate the calls of my Special Representative for the swift and full implementation of the Sinjar Agreement. Stable security structures and a unified administration are essential. We owe it to the Yazidi people of Sinjar to improve the security situation on the ground, ensure good governance, and promote the voluntary, dignified return of the displaced to their homes. I want to express my full solidarity with the Yazidi people who have suffered immensely. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, inclusive political and electoral processes are a guarantor of stability and progress. I look forward to the conduct of the delayed Kurdistan regional parliamentary elections, as well as the planned provincial council elections across Iraq. The United Nations stands ready to support Iraq's electoral institutions in line with the NAMI's technical assistance mandate. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, over 5 years since Iraq declared victory over Daesh, the fight against terrorism remains a collective priority in Iraq and in the world. We must focus on prevention to address the economic and social conditions that can lead to terrorism in the first place. And we must prioritize inclusion to ensure counter-terrorism strategies that reflect a wide array of voices, communities and constituencies, including minorities, women and young people. And throughout, we must place human rights and the rule of law at the core. This year marks the 20th anniversary of one of the darkest days in the history of our United Nations, the horrific terrorist attack on the Canal Hotel in Baghdad, which killed 22 of our colleagues and wounded many more. This day forever changed the United Nations, but it did not break our resolve to stay and deliver for the people of Iraq. Today, as Iraq transitions from humanitarian to development assistance, I'm here to underscore the United Nations' abiding commitment to support the Iraqis in advancing peace, sustainable development and human rights for all the people of Iraq. Shukran, jazilan, and I'm at your disposal for a few questions.
Okay, we will start over here. Front row, and then, yes. Is there a microphone?
I would prefer to have, because this system doesn't work very well for me, to have successive translation if possible.
السلام عليكم. هوكو العزيز من شبكة الغداء والإعلامية.
1 second, please.
To have successive translation if possible.
خلونا نستنى السؤال وبعد ذلك أنا حاترجمه مرة واحدة.
Please.
تفضل.
نعم هوكو العزيز من شبكة الغداء والإعلامية. يتبان بارزاني رئيس إقليم كردستان السنة الماضية في رسالة طلب من مجلس الأمن توسيع صلاحيات بعث الأمم المتحدة في العراق لتمكينها من المساعدة في تطبيق مادة 140 من الدستور العراقي حول مناطق متنازع عليها بين إقليم كردستان وبغداد. ماذا سيكون دور سيادتكم والأمم المتحدة بالمساعدة في حل مشاكل بين بغداد وإقليم؟ شكرا.
Mr. SG, I would like to ask a question that last year Mr. President of Kurdistan, Barzani, has said that he demanded from the Security Council to enlarge the mandate of the United Nations, especially on Article 140 of the Constitution on disputed areas. So how are you going to play this role in order to solve the problems between Erbil and Baghdad?
It is the Iraqi government in Baghdad and the Kurdistan government that needs to come together in solving this problem. The United Nations is not in a position to impose any solution to anybody. The United Nations is here to support Iraqis finding their way. Iraq is a sovereign country, and this is high time for Iraqis to fully assume in their hands the decisions about the future of the country.
Okay, we'll go over here. السؤال الأول: ما هي أهم التحديات التي ترونها في العراق وكيف تقيمون عمل حكومة السيد السوداني؟ السؤال الثاني: هناك ملاحظات شعبية على أداء البعثة الأممية في العراق لا سيما في الملفات الإنسانية كالنازحين والمغيبين، كيف تعلقون على تلك الملاحظات؟ شكرا جزيلا.
Mr. SG, Ms. Nadal Musawi from the channel. What are the most important challenges that you see in Iraq, and what is your assessment of the Prime Minister Sudan's government right now? There are also, the other question is about, there are some reservations or some comments on the performance of the United Nations mission in Iraq regarding mainly the files of the displaced people and those who are forcibly disappeared. Thank you.
What are the main challenges that Iraq faces, and what's your assessment of the Prime Minister right now?
Well, Iraq faces many challenges. Let's not forget the dramatic situation that Iraq has lived, I would say, since its independence. And obviously, there is a lot of baggage in the history of the country. So there is a political challenge to bring Iraqis together. And to bring Iraqis together is essential, even to avoid any kind of foreign intervention or foreign illicit interference. Then Iraq has an economy to rebuild. And I was encouraged by the Prime Minister's declarations about the plan, the reform plan, and the plan in relation to aspects related to job creation, related to education and health, related to fight against corruption, related to all the other aspects of a solid strategy of economic and social development for the country. And then Iraq has the challenges of being a rich country in a geopolitical strategy. So obviously there are challenges in a geopolitical strategic position. There are challenges coming from the fact that many countries would also like to have its interference in Iraqi affairs. And that is one reason more why the unity of Iraqis is so important. When Iraqis are united, there is no way foreigners can have illegitimate interference in the affairs of Iraq. So there are many challenges. And then there is a climate change challenge and a water scarcity challenge. And I have to say that I've seen the Prime Minister totally determined to face these challenges. Water scarcity that comes from the fact that Iraq is receiving less water from its neighbors. And of course, with the climate change, there is a risk that we need to avoid at all costs. This is Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers. It cannot be the land without rivers. It's absolutely essential to do everything to guarantee that Iraq will be able to build resilience against climate change and that the supply of water to Iraq meets the minimum standards that are necessary to preserve the character of this area that was the birth of civilization.
The follow-up was, what do you think about the mission is being criticized for the displacement?
Well, I think the mission and our agencies are actively cooperating with the Iraqi government in all aspects related to the support to people internally displaced and to returnees. But let's be honest, I've been High Commissioner for Refugees for 10 years. I can tell you it is a very challenging mission. And so we are not perfect. We sometimes might not be able to do everything we would like, but you can count on our firm determination to use all our capacities and all our resources in support to the people that was displaced by conflict in Iraq.
We'll go over here.
السلام عليكم، إدريس جواد قناة الشرق الأخباري. تحدثتم عن ضرورة إجراء الانتخابات في إقليم كردستان بسرعة ممكنة، لكن إلى الآن لا تزال هناك خلافات حول موعد إجراء الانتخابات، رغم أن هناك اجتماعات جرت بين ممثلتكم الخاصة في العراق مع القيادات السياسية الكردية لأكثر من مرة ولم يصلوا إلى حل. هل هناك سقف زمني محدد لهذا الموضوع؟ وكيف ستدعم الأمم المتحدة إجراء هذه الانتخابات؟ شكرا.
Mr. SG, Mr. Idris from Sharqa News channel, you have been talking about the elections in Kurdistan, and there is the importance that it should be conducted there. But there are still disagreements on the time of that elections, although your representative has been talking with the political leaders over this matter. Is there any ceiling, any time ceiling for this, and how are you going to support these elections?
First of all, UNAMI's mandate allows UNAMI to give full technical support to elections at national level as at regional level. Elections are not taking place in the moment in which they were supposed to take place. I can only express my hope that they will take place as soon as possible, because it's very important to stabilize the political situation, and elections are essential for that purpose.
We'll go on the second row.
Good evening, Gabriel from AFP. I have a question. Earlier today you hailed the diplomatic role of Baghdad, including in restoring regional stability. Are we expecting perhaps any concrete steps in the coming weeks maybe, or like any new agreement that might be like coming up in that perspective?
Well, first of all, we fully support the initiatives of the government of Iraq that led to the Baghdad 1 and Baghdad 2 conferences, and the Prime Minister informed me today that they intend to convene a Baghdad 3 process, and we will fully support it. It is my deep belief that it is important to establish a meaningful dialogue including all the 8 countries that surround this Gulf, that some call Arabian Gulf, others call Persian Gulf, which shows that sometimes it's not always easy to find common ground. But it's essential to create mechanisms of dialogue. I do believe that trust is missing. It's important to rebuild trust. The solution of the crisis in Yemen would be essential for that purpose, and my appeal is for everybody to work for the solution of the crisis in Yemen. The Yemeni people is suffering too much. And on the other hand, there are many areas where I believe cooperation would be possible. Maritime security, protection of the environment. And one day, I know it will not be easy, I know it will not be immediately, but one day I hope that there will be a new security architecture in the Gulf based on the principle of independence of each country and non-interference of any country on the internal affairs of the others.
Great, we'll take one more over here.
مساء الخير. بدر الركابي من قناة التغيير الفضائية. أسأل بخصوص وساطة العراق فيما يتعلق بالمفاوضات بين واشنطن وطهران. كيف ترى الأمم المتحدة دور العراق في هذا الملف؟ وهل ربما ستكون هناك خطوات ناجعة بخصوص هذا الملف؟ وأيضا لدي سؤال ثاني، تحدثتم عن المجاميع المسلحة، كيف ترى الأمم المتحدة وجود هذه المجاميع في العراق؟ وخلال زيارتكم اليوم هل ناقشتم مع رئيس الوزراء هذا الملف وتعتقدون أن الحكومة الحالية تستطيع إنهاء هذا الملف؟ شكرا جزيلا.
Mr. SG, I would like to ask about the negotiations between Iraq is a mediator between Washington and Tehran. How do the UN see this file? Also, do you think that with the armed groups here in Iraq, have you discussed this file with the Prime Minister? And how do you see this file in Iraq?
She's asking about if you had discussions about the relationship between the U.S. and Iran with the Prime Minister, and what do you think about the relationship between U.S. and Iran in general?
I do believe it is impossible to come to Iraq and not to discuss the relations between the United States and Iran. So obviously this was an issue that we discussed, but it is clearly a matter in which the problems that exist are not to be solved between the two of us. I want to reaffirm my strong support to the JCPOA and my belief that the JCPOA was one of the most important diplomatic victories of recent times, and my hope that it will be possible to overcome the difficulties and challenges and make sure that the JCPOA will become a reality again.
Do you want to take one more, sir? Do you want to take one more?
Two more.
Two more. Okay, so we'll go over here, and then we'll go in the back row over there. And that's
After the two, I have to go for a dinner with the Prime Minister.
السلام عليكم. قصي دليمي القمة العربية الإخبارية. سؤالي بشقين. الشق الأول، أنتم بعث الأمم المتحدة لمساعدة العراق. هل هناك خطط مرتقبة مستقبلية لوضعها في العراق لتلافي الانتخابات اللي راح تحضر في العراق المستقبلية؟ هذا الشق الأول. الشق الثاني من السؤال، ما هي خططكم؟ ما هي الخطط والأهداف التي قمتم بمساعدتها لتركيا وسوريا لمساعدة العوائل التي تعرضت للزلازل الرقمية في الموضوع؟ شكرا جزيلا.
Mr. Rizvi, this question is about the UN. What are the future plans for UNAMI in all for conducting the elections, and also what are the plans of the UN and how did you help and assist Turkey and Syria after the late earthquakes?
Okay, so what is the future of UNAMI? And then what is of the mission UNAMI, the UN mission here? And the second one is what has the UN been doing in terms of helping the people in Turkey and Syria after the earthquake?
The future of UNAMI is something that obviously is related to our permanent discussions with the Iraqi government and with the Security Council. What is normal, what is natural, is that the mission developed its operations for the time necessary to consolidate its mandate and its contribution to the country, and that one day, in agreement with the Iraqi authorities, as things move forward positively, naturally the mission will tend to start phasing out and one day not to be necessary anymore. We are totally committed to support the Syrian people and the Turkish people in these dramatic situations. We have mobilized all the resources of the United Nations. We made a flash appeal and then two appeals for the two countries. We mobilized the funds of our Central Emergency Response Fund. All agencies are working night and day in order to be able to deliver as much support as possible to the people of Turkey and to the people of Syria, independently of who controls the territory in the different regions of Syria. The people of Syria is a very generous people. I am in Iraq. I worked in Syria during many years in support of Iraqi refugees. Syrians were always extremely generous. There were no refugee camps for Iraqis in Syria. They were living with the community. So the Syrian people has shown an enormous generosity. Now is the time. The Turkish people also showed that generosity with Syrian refugees. Now is the time for the international community to mobilize every possible resources and capacities to support these two generous peoples.
Yes, about the role of UNAMI, the future of the role of UNAMI in conducting the elections here in Iraq.
Obviously, during the exercise of its mandate, UNAMI will be available to fully support, to give technical assistance to all electoral processes in line with the wishes of the government.
Okay, and then, yes, in the second row, this is the last one.
مساء الخير. أيضا وكالة الأنظار الأنباء. هناك قرار صدر من قبل الأمان العام لمجلس الوزراء حول منع استخدام اللغة التركمانية في المخاطبات الرسمية في مدينة كركوك التي تعتبر هي من ضمن اللغات الرسمية المتداولة في المدينة نظرا لأن المكون موجود في المدينة بشكل كثير حال المكون بالعربي والكردي. كيف ترون هذا القرار المتخذ من قبل الأمان العام لمجلس الوزراء الذي لربما يهدد السلم والتعايش الأهلي في مدينة كركوك؟ شكرا.
was a decision coming from the Council of Ministers in order to prevent Turkmeni language in Kirkuk. As you know that it was one of the languages that is used in Kirkuk, and that the Turkmen is one of the components with the Arabs and the Kurds in Kirkuk. How do you see this this decision and how it's going to affect coexistence and peaceful coexistence in Kirkuk? Thank you.
There is a dialogue process taking place in Kirkuk. That process has the full support of the United Nations. It is not for us to decide how these problems will be solved, but we fully trust the people and the authorities in Kirkuk to find solutions for all the problems that you raised. And we are convinced that this dialogue that is taking place will be successful, and from our side we'll do everything possible to make it successful.
Thank you very much. Sorry, this is all the time we have today. Thank you so
I'm
much.
terribly sorry, but I have to go to an official dinner. Shukran, all the best.